Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin our services, if we can please kindly turn off all cell phones or electronic devices, or please place them on silent, not those.
Challenge in between prescription numbers. Shviti Adonai lenegdi tamid kimini balemot lechein semach libi v'yogel kevod yapisari Yishkon leveito kilo dazon nafshi leshor lo titein chazdecha lirot shechot todieni orach chaim I have set the eternal before me always. God is at my side, and I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult, and my soul rejoice, and my being is secure. For you will not abandon me in death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. And together we say, Amen. Death has taken our beloved Sharon. Our friends grieve in their darkened world, and in their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them, for Sharon's love that united us in life, which death cannot sever, for her companionship that we shared along life's path that continues now through the preciousness of memory, and for the gifts of her heart and mind which brought us happiness and are now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures that bring us an ever new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Adonai mi agor be'alecha mishkon behar kodshecho tolech tami ofael tzedek udaber emet velo avon lo ragal al ishono Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain. Those who are upright and who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those that revere God, who give their word and come what may, do not retract. Those who live in this way will never be shaken and may live in your holy mountain. Adonai roi lo echazer v'yod deshe yarvitzeni al mei menuchot yanach eleini nifshi shiovev yancheni b'magele tzedek leman shemo gam ki elech b'gei tzelamavet lo irara ki ata imade shivtecha umishantecha chemana yana chamoni taroch v'hivnei shiulachon niged sorera v'shanta v'shamen roshi kosi ravaya ach tov nachesed yirtifuni kol yamei chaya v'shavti b'veit Adonai li'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And together we say, Amen. In sorrow, Job cried out, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach v'hi shem Adonai mevorach. God you have given, God you have taken away, blessed be the name of God. An ancient people, we are well acquainted with grief and with the valley of shadows. Death and sorrow are not strangers to us, yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and that there is strength in faith. With Job we say, Adonai natan, you gave us a loved one who will not be forgotten. For all that was good and enduring in her life, we offer the deepest thanks of our hearts. Adonai lakach, God, you have taken away. We pray for the strength to turn our broken hearts into an altar of trust before which we acknowledge your sovereignty and love, as we now say, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach, blessed be the name of God forever. At this time, it is appropriate for members of the family to offer eulogy, stories, messages that they would like to have as a remembrance of the departed. And at this time, I ask for niece Lori to please come forward.
As we grow older, we learn that one softens with age. For saffron, that's not 100% apparent. In fact, it's a little more subtle. Easy grace does not come to mind when I think of a saffron. However, Aunt Sharon had mastered with grace the art of preparing one for a collision. Bot, Shell, and I spent a lot of time in the mini Volkswagen bus, and Aunt Sharon would say, and I quote, "Girls, you see that car at the bottom of the hill? Well, we're about to hit that car. So brace yourselves." And we did. When I found out that Aunt Sharon was in hospice, I did reach out and I spoke with my cousin David. I wanted him to know that I loved my Aunt Sharon and that she was a good aunt to me and my sister Shell. We all experienced her differently, but that's how I and Shell experienced her. Hugging did not come easy to Aunt Sharon, and I learned that as a child. I was unsure what I was supposed to do when they had these family meetings. I was taught, you hug your family. Aunt Sharon indulged me, as she indulged all of us. She had her own way, as I learned, of showing you how she loved you. For me, when I would sleep over with Bob, she always made sure I had clean sheets and clean towels, and asked if I needed an extra blanket. She probably stole that from the boys. She always asked if I ate enough, and she wanted me to eat more. She also did tell me not to touch Peppy. And I didn't listen, and I ended up getting 6 stitches in my arm. On a day of sadness and remembrance, I can see her with her bird, Cuckoo. Antoine France said, until one has loved an animal, one's soul remains unawakened. I can see her smile. I can hear her laugh. And I'm willing to bet if we all close our eyes, we can too. My mom couldn't be physically here today. Hi, Esther from streaming. She's been in the hospital the last few weeks. Mom, Shell, and I spent some time sharing stories about Aunt Sharon, her sister, and we shared good ones, we shared bad ones, we laughed, we shed some tears. Mom fiercely loved her sister, and she's asked me to share her words on her behalf. My sister Sharon, did you know we shared a bunk bed till we were almost teens? Do you know we dressed alike for many years? Do you know if you took the time, it was so easy to make her smile or laugh? She was socially shy, but do you know she made herself laugh when she cracked a joke? Sharon was a tomboy and my protector. You hurt me, and she hurt you. Did you know she worked harder than most people? Did you know she was the only one to graduate college? Did you know she was really smart? Did you know I fixed her up with Alan, and they married 4 months later? Did you know when she worked at the 7-Eleven in Cherry Hill that she foiled a robbery? Apparently she foiled a robbery. And after her shift was over, she showed up at my house every morning for 3 months, woke my girls, and I do remember this, made sure they dressed for school, and fed them breakfast and candy. It was actually bazooka gum. She brought us gum every day from the 7-Eleven. They loved Aunt Sharon. When Shad was at the home in Cherry Hill and later in Rockville, Maryland, we went to dinner often. We found a place near each home that she liked. She always said, I'm not hungry, and there's nothing I like. So I ordered, and when it came, she said, I ordered this. I said, you love that meal. And she ate everything in her plate and talked through the entire meal. Every time we parted, we each said, I love you with a hug and a kiss. I know some of you may not be able to picture her as I do, but we were special to one another. I was her sister, Esther. She was my sister, Sharon. I will miss her dearly. May she rest in peace.
We call now granddaughter support.
grandmother would always say, "If you need me, call me and I'll come." And she always did. Safta was the type of grandmother who would drop everything, even in the middle of the night, to come help us. She would drive hundreds of miles if we needed her. She had a no-nonsense attitude about a lot of things, and she was the first to call us out on our bad behavior. She could be stubborn and headstrong, but she could also be warm and kind. She was everything I needed in a grandmother. Safta's life wasn't easy, and sometimes that made her rough around the edges and difficult to understand. She couldn't always articulate her feelings, but what she couldn't say with words, she communicated through her actions. I never doubted how much she loved me. Her care made it obvious. She was a natural caretaker. She gave so much of her time and energy to others. She cared for her own grandmother decades ago. She took care of her rabbi in his final years. And she cared for me at every stage of my life. When I was 15 and homesick at summer camp, she really did drive hundreds of miles to pick me up and take me home. She came to every school function, every play, every recital. She drove carpools, cooked meals, and cleaned up after our messes. She would let us sit on her bed and watch TV with her, and like every good Jewish grandmother, she always had snacks. Everything she had, she shared with us. Her home was a safe haven for me, no matter what else was happening in my life. In her last years, she needed more and more help taking care of herself. It wasn't always easy. She had a lot of doctor's appointments, needed shots and medications, and as always, she was stubborn about a lot of it. But if there is anything I learned from Safta, it is how to take care of my loved ones. And after all, it's what she had done for me my entire life. She deserved the same in return. Now I am grateful for those moments because they gave me more time with her, more conversations, and more memories. During those times with her before her memory faded, Safta would tell me stories of her life. Some stories were warm and familiar, some were old and painful, and some were, quite frankly, a little inappropriate. That was my Safta to a T. Hearing about her life before I was born was always fascinating. I never knew her as the little girl who wanted to play sports like the boys, as a young mother running her own business, or as the adult who went to college just to prove she could. But she inspired me to be strong and independent, creative, and kind-hearted. In the end, dementia stole her precious memories of us, of her life, and even of her beloved husband, Alan. Watching any loved one suffer through a long illness is painful. Watching my tough-as-nails grandmother disappear was heartbreaking. But even though she could not remember me, I still have my memories of her. I remember a breakfast of bagels and donuts on Sunday mornings in her kitchen, afternoons spent in her pool, and big family barbecues on the back porch. I remember how much she loved her pets and how she always overfed them. I remember days spent on the beach with her, and holiday mornings in synagogue where she would sing along to every tune she knew. I remember the smell of her perfume and how her laugh sounded more like a cackle. I remember how much she adored my grandfather and how much she missed him after he was gone. I will cherish every memory I have of her, every conversation, and every lesson I learned from her. I am grateful for every minute I had with my grandmother. I only wish I had a few more. In losing her, I have lost not only a grandparent, but also a kindred spirit. Safta, I love you and I miss you. I hope you are with Safta and all the dogs, and that you are finally at peace.
finally be called Sam. Sharon's oldest son.
Hi everybody, you probably all know me, I'm Sam. I'm the oldest of Sharon's 4 children. Before I start, my siblings and I want to thank all of you for being here and with us to remember the life of our mother. First thing I would like to say is thank you to my mother for giving me her hair gene. I'm the oldest, but I am the only son who still has this hair. My mother was a strong-willed woman who never let anyone tell her what to do. She liked to do things her own way. Makes sense that one of her favorite songs was My Way by Frank Sinatra, which even at the beginning of her Alzheimer's disease, she could still remember the lyrics. And when I was a child, there was always something going on Royden Street, house, and then later on Elkins Road. There was always people in and out. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, coming and going. One of my fondest memories at one of our family gatherings was my bar mitzvah party. My mom and my Aunt Ellen decided that they were going to spray whipped cream, and specifically at my Zeta. Well, they missed Zeta, and they got Uncle Herb, who had MS and couldn't even move. And he laughed and he licked the whipped cream up. He was happy. My mother was never afraid of anything in life. She once worked at the 7-Eleven you heard about. It wasn't a robbery. It was a pervert. And she chased him out the door with a big knife. I'm going to cut that off. She owned a bus service and had me, who was a teenager at the time, driving kids to the JCC, of course with the insistence of Aunt Ellen, who I'd pick up in the mornings, and we would drop all the kids off at JCC. At 40, she decided to go back to college, as you heard, to get her degree. She took college life seriously, attending study groups with girls half her age. She did it, though, and got that degree for herself. Later in her life, after my family and I moved to Florida, she came down and got a condo on the beach. She found a love for beach life. She would sit at the beach reading her books. For those of you who didn't know my mom, she was a fierce reader, sometimes reading a book a day. One trip down to Florida, she brought a very special carry-on item, a 20-pound kosher rib roast, in its own suitcase right off the plane. She wanted to make sure we were well fed, just as any good Jewish mother would. I hope she would be able to enjoy the time in her life at the beach with my dad when he was able to come down. By the way, Dad hated the beach, hated the sand, hated the heat, but he did it for his shot. Unfortunately, that time in her life was cut short due to the passing of my dad. I know she missed him from the moment on more than any words could ever describe. She continued all those years to miss him until Alzheimer's disease started to seal those memories from her. As you all know, Alzheimer's is an awful disease to watch a loved one go through. As her disease progressed, she became unable to remember us, her family. We were fortunate, though, thanks to my brother Harvey especially. We found River Garden in Jacksonville, where she found a new family. The people on her floor, the caregivers who took care of her, the house cleaners, the maintenance people, always making sure she was safe and comfortable. I know she was in a place with people who truly cared about her. The last couple of years were some of my closest with my mother. I visited her almost every day. We would sit and have our afternoon rice cakes, and I always bring her chocolates. Due to her disease, each day eating a chocolate was like a brand new experience to her. She would say, "These are so good, I never had these before." Continuously, every minute after each one. But it was cool. When she was still able to, we would go for walks. She loved to sit outside and enjoy the sun, just as she did during her time at the Florida condo earlier in her life. She also got involved with activities, which was a first for her. She went to at River Garden. She did activities. I would take her to all the musical activities, which were her favorite, and she would sing in public, which she really never did before, unless it was in synagogue or maybe with just us. As her mental state declined even more, I was still there every day, just as I had promised. And Harvey and I did make her a promise that she would be safe and she would be taken care of. The last week of her life was really hard to watch, but I was with her every day, sitting by her bedside, making sure she wasn't alone. Mom, days will be a lot different for me now. I will miss going to visit you at River Garden and spending that time, just the two of us, with our rice cakes and chocolates. Mom, it's been a long, strange trip, and I'm sure you know where that comes from, but I am comforted imagining that you are reunited with Dad and Aunt Ellen and all the rest. Hopefully you're on the road trip, just like we used to take when we were kids. Just go easy on them. Don't argue with them too much about the directions. Love you, Mom.
Sharon Dikter was born on August 27, 1940. She was born to Sylvia and Arnold Safran, and she was the oldest of Sylvia and Arnold's children, which included Esther, Stephen, and Sonny, who are with us today, both virtually and physically. Sharon and her siblings grew up in the shtetl of Parkside, Camden, then migrating to Eastside Camden, within the Jewish neighborhoods that were there. In this area, it was typical that you went to school, you attended religious education and services, and played with friends within a 3 to 5 block radius of your house. The neighborhood watched the neighborhood's kids from their porches. If something happened on one end of the neighborhood, before you got home, your mother already knew. Life was simple. Parents worked, children went to school, they came home, they did homework, they went out to play, and when your parents' car pulled into the driveway, you knew it was time to go inside and get ready for dinner. It was simple. And they survived. And they brought up all of us into this world. Sharon grew up and went to Camden High School and graduated in 1958. She met her future husband, Alan, as we learned, through an introduction of her sister. And they immediately married, very closely after graduating from high school. Alan worked in the insurance business, and Sharon managed the growing family with the birth of Sam, Harvey, David, and Bathsheba. The family moved with a mass exodus out of Camden to Cherry Hill around 1967. Sharon and Alan kept a kosher home. I'm not sure whether it was religious or the fact that she could control everything, but that's just the point. And she took her position as the oldest child in the family very seriously. Most holidays were celebrated at Sharon and Alan's house. On any given Sunday, family and friends knew that you were welcome to stop by for bagels and lox. There were always people coming and going in and out of the house. And if you needed any help, anything at all, you could get it from Sharon, whether you asked or didn't. She was always taking care of someone or something. We've heard the stories of Cuckoo the bird. And she may not always have told you how much she cared, but she was always able to show you. In 1970, after seeing the Jewish community, a need in the Jewish community, SD Transportation was born, as we heard. Sharon and her crew were responsible for transporting preschoolers and other school-aged children to and from their homes to the JCC on Route 70. She did this for some 10 years, with the business closing in 1980. It was then, at the age of 40, she decided to go back to college. It took her 7 years of persistence, active work, hard work, getting together with people half her age. She was able to ultimately get the coveted degree. It was at this time that Sharon was also helping Alan with his business and dealing with some medical issues of her own. And they took some time to travel. We heard that they went to Florida. They also went to Europe. They also went to Israel at this time. And they traveled around, and now they were dealing again with taking care of a growing family, which Baruch Hashem today includes not only the children and the in-laws, but Baruch Hashem 10 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Tragically, in 1987, Alan passed from this world. Sharon held it together, but decided to move to Maryland to be closer to her daughter and her daughter's family. And after a time, she returned to Cherry Hill, settling in the Dubin house. And then again moved back to Maryland, and ultimately down to Florida, to live out her remaining years. The world has lost an Ashes Chayil, a Jewish woman of valor. She will be missed by her siblings, Esther, Stephen, and Sonny, her children, Sam and his Missy, Harvey and his Beth, David and Bathsheba, her 10 grandchildren, her 4 great-grandchildren, and countless nieces and nephews. It is our hope and prayer that she finds her place in Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden, what Jews hold as quote-unquote heaven. May she find her place among the holy and pure. May she be reunited with all of her loved ones, and may she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. I ask you all to now take a moment for your own silent supplications. יהיו לרצון רפים, וגיון לוי, לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable unto you, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. O God, into your care we entrust the spirit of Sharon. For you keep faith with your children in death as you do in life. Sustain us that when we meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, will be with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life and our hope in eternity. Dear God, we pray that the memory of Sharon endures among us as a blessing. In our own time, O God, when we too are called to eternity, may we leave this life secure in the faith that you are the light that we see in life. In life as in death, we cannot go where you are not, and where you are, hope endures. Sustained by this assurance, we invoke your holy name. I ask the congregation to please rise, for at this time I will recite the ancient prayer of El Golei Rachamim, in which we ask God to bind Sharon's soul to eternity. El Malei Rachamim Shochem Baromim Omitzei Melucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina Im Kedoshim Uteharim Kizar Arakia Mazirim and Ishmat Sarah Bar Abraham V'chayafega Shalacha V'yolama V'yol Rachamim Yistireha B'seta Kamfor Yolamim Yitzvor Achayim et nishmata Adonai onalata V'tanua v'shalom ha'mishkava V'ne'amar Amen. God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Sarah bat Abraham v'Chayav Vega, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God, you are her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. I ask you all to please be seated for a moment.
And we have the pallbearers, please. We ask you to rise once more, please.
I'll ask each of you to press your left hand on the lid of the casket and walk with us.
I'm sure they would have left it too.
I know you. I know you. How you doing?
We've done is kill the stream. Kill the stream.